Hi, Laura here from The Unprofessional, and I'm going to restore my porch ceiling. I'm going to do this by replacing the wavy white plastic with stained tongue and groove boards. This is my first step in a larger porch renovation project that will include patching and painting the cement, rebuilding the rotting column surrounds, and replacing the dented front door and the hardware. The ceiling is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm really looking forward to turning this into this. First things first, I had to remove the old ceiling. This was a really gross process, and we found not just one, but 3 layers of ceiling. One of the ceiling layers had lead, which we had to remediate before we could safely continue. If you're working in an old house like mine, I always recommend that you do lead tests anytime you're working with a painted surface. After removing the old ceiling, the light, and the trim, I was left with a blank slate. Now I'm going to be attaching my tongue and groove boards directly to the ceiling joists. Sometimes this isn't possible and you may need to add plywood or something else, but my ceiling joists look really good and it should be easy to attach the tongue and groove boards directly to the joists. Tongue and groove isn't the cheapest material, so I was careful to measure the length and the width before heading to the hardware store to pick up my materials. I measured the length that I need to cut these, and because I don't have a shop, I set myself up a little cutting station. That way I can just slide 2 of these on at a time, cut, slide them down, cut. It's just going to save me a lot of time. I also kind of want to point out that this board has a little split in it. Make sure you do a good job, not like I did, of inspecting your lumber before you buy it, because you don't want to buy something that you're not going to be able to use. So I just load these in. Slide them down till they're at the end. And I'm going to cut them. I'm going to do about 12-foot boards, and I'm cutting them to 69.5 inches, so I'm going to be doing a lot of cuts. After a lot of cutting, I was ready to stain. Now, I didn't do a great job of mixing my stain, and as a result, I ended up with batches that were darker and lighter. And at first I freaked out and said a lot of curse words, but I discovered I actually really liked the variation, so go figure. I'm starting by finding my center point, and there's a lot of reasons why finding the center point is important. For me, the biggest reason is I'm gonna have a light fixture, so I'm gonna put a light box right here. The other reason, if you really care about an equal distribution of your ceiling boards, you'd want to know the center point so that you can use a table saw to cut off even sections of your first and last board. I actually don't really care about that. I'm going to put molding trim around it anyways, so if I have a little bit of an uneven starting and finishing point, I'm not that worried. The other reason it's nice to know your center point is as you're working out, and you hit your center, you want to make sure you're aligned because you don't want to be at the end and realize that you've kind of gotten off a little bit. So I'll show you what this looks like as I'm going. Tongue and groove boards are really easy to work with. So this is what we have. We've got the groove side here, the tongue side here, and then there's a little like beveled line down the middle, which makes these look like they are 2 pieces instead of just 1. This is pine. I was hoping for fir, but I couldn't find any, so I'm using pine, and it'll work fine. Some people will cut off this groove part. I did not do that, but what you want to do at the beginning is imagine this is your ceiling. You are going to face nail, which means nail straight in to your groove side on your first one. After that, you are always, and on this one as well, you are always going to nail I nailed this at an angle. I don't know, maybe you don't have to, but you're gonna nail in to your tongue side after that. But you wanna do it in a way that doesn't disrupt the groove from fitting in to the tongue. Other than that, this is super easy to do. So imagine I nail this in, face nail. After that, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to nail. and then I'm gonna slide my next piece in. Now this is all gonna be nice and tight. I don't even have to worry about this side anymore because this connection locks it in. So from there, I would nail, 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 and then I'm just going to add the next groove piece right into that tongue, and then same thing, nail, nail, nail. And you'll see me do this in time lapse, but this is so easy to do. The first board you attach is absolutely the most important. If it's off, then everything else after it is going to be off as well. So take some time, get it really square, and leave a 1/4 inch expansion gap. It really helps to have a second pair of hands during the installation. Face nail the first board, and then you're ready to nail into the tongue for the remainder, applying adhesive as you go. Switch. So here you can see the color variation, and I gotta say, I think it's my favorite mistake. Okay, so I've done all of this up to the point of the light. I'm gonna take a very strange approach to this. I am the unprofessional after all. Now that the board is secure, I'm actually going to use a jigsaw to cut half of this, and then I'm gonna put the other board up and use a jigsaw to cut the other half. So, okay, I'm up in the rafters now on top of this project, and I've actually pulled the light box out, but first I drew the outline. So now I'm just going to use a jigsaw, and I am going to, with the board up here and intact, I'm going to cut the hole out, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, although now I've got a 2x4 and so it's going to be a little harder on the other side, but I will make it work. Normally nothing is ever easy, but this was actually pretty easy. So you can see I've got half my hole here. I'm gonna put this one in, I'm gonna get back on top with my jigsaw, and then I will cut out the other side of this. So if you can do the same thing, I think that's better probably. If you've done something different, go ahead and leave it in the comment box, I would love to know. I know I could have measured, I could have cut this on the ground for jigsaw, but I feel like this is just easier. I cut the other side, reattached and wired the light box, and continued on my way. At this point, we hit our groove and it was super easy from here on out. So my ceiling is done. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I've got my spot lift for my light, so I need to order the light. The next step is to add some trim. So what we're gonna do is measure this and the length. We're gonna rip it's starting as a 1x10, but we're gonna have to rip it down. And then we're gonna attach it to here. We might finish this off with some 1/4 round, but I will figure that out once I see the first trim board up. So you can see the trim is up, and I am absolutely adding the 1/4 round. I got a 1940s style light and put it up, and my project is done. Thanks for watching. This has been Laura from The Unprofessional. To see written instructions for this project and other DIY projects, visit my website, theunprofessional.com. And if you like this video, please don't forget to click the like button and subscribe.